Good day, everyone, and today I will be discussing the models of community organization. There are three models of community organization. These are community development, social planning, and social action. So let us first tackle the first model of the community organization, which is the community development or the locality development. So, community development, it is defined as a process designed to create conditions of economic and social progress for the whole community with its active participation and the fullest possible reliance on the community's initiative. So, it is also emphasize positive action on the part of a whole community. In this model, only people can develop themselves, not others, not their friends, or the people that surround them. And through participating activities in a community, it can help to develop themselves. And through this, they can learn many things which can they apply in themselves, and also it has effect on their well-being. In community or locality development, these are the practice variables that had done in this model. First, the goal is strategy. The process received heavy emphasis. Second, the assumption in community is structure and problem condition. The community is seen as overshadowed and the people living there are lack of relationship and also problem solving skills. Third is the basic change strategy is to determine community people felt and to solve their own problem. The fourth is the change tactics and techniques. The tactics consensus is stress. In this model, it has a problem, but if there's a problem, there could be a solution. The problem is the planners see the community overshadowed by the larger community and lack of relationship and problem-solving skills. And the solution of the problem is the strategy is to have a broad selection of people to get together to determine and solve the community problems. And it could be characterized as let's all together and talk this over. This solution helps people build relationship and interactive to others to enable to express their feelings and problems. The fifth is the practitioner rule and medium change. The rule of the practitioner is to facilitate, means it is a process of problem solving and includes actions, not just also by saying and advocating them, but also it takes an action to enable to help people living in the community to express their discontent. Six is the orientation toward power structure. The all segment of the community are part of the client system. Seventh is the boundary definition of the community client system. The client system in this model is the geographic entity such as city, neighborhood, and the villages. And the eighth is the assumption regarding interests of community subparts, and it is seen as basically reconcilable and responsive in mutual goodwill. Ninth is the conception of public interest. The common goal is to determine through expression of various majority interests. Tenth is the conception of the client population or constituency. The client are likely to be viewed as normal citizens which are not fully developed and who needs the most services of the practitioners to help them enable to release and focus these inherent capabilities. And the 11th is the conception of the client constituent rule. The client view as an active participant. So let us tackle the second model of community organization, which is the social planning. Social planning emphasizes technical process problem solving with regard substantive in social problems such as poor housing and mental health. It is also a planning of the services and programs to address the social problems on what services and programs that could be fit in the social problem. So let us hear the practice variables of social planning. First is the goal strategy. The stress is placed on task goals oriented toward the solution of substantive social problems. Second is the assumption in community structure and problem condition. The planner is likely to see the community as comprised of substantive social problem condition. Third is the basic change strategy. The practitioners plays a central part in gathering and analyzing facts and determining appropriate services, programs, and actions. In this model, the problem is the planners see the community as having major social problems such as housing, employment, and etc. The solution of the problem is the planner will gather the facts and decides what to do with it. And it also characterized as let's gather the fact and solve the problem. Fourth is the change tactics and techniques. In these practice variables, the tactics is conflict or consensus. Fifth is practitioner role and medium change. Expert roles are emphasized, such as fact findings, implementation of programs, relationship with various bureaucracies, and with professionals of various disciplines. And seventh is the boundary definition of the community client system. The client system might either the total of geographic community or functional subpart. Eighth is the assumptions regarding interest of community subparts. In this practice variable, there is no pervasive assumption about the degree of intractability of conflicting interest. The ninth is conception of the public interest. In this practice variable, it have an idealist unitary view of public interest. 10th is the conception of the client population or constituency. In this practice variable, clients are more likely to be consumers of the services. And 11th, the conception of the client constituent rule. In this practice variable, the clients are recipients of the services. The third model of the community organization is the social action. In social action model, the disadvantaged segment of the population is need to be organized in order to make adequate demands on the larger community for increased resources or treatment more in accordance with social justice or democracy. It is also an organized effort to change or improve social and economic, and it is used for mobilizing masses in order to bring about structural changes in social system. Its practitioner aim at basic changes and seek redistribution of power resources, or decision making in the community, or changes in basic policies of formal organizations. According to Nanawati in 1965, the view social as process of bringing about the desired changes by deliberate group and community effort. In this, the social action does not end, but the execution of the policies was the real test of success or failure of a social action. According to Murthy in 1966, the scope of social action included work during catastrophic situations such as fire, floods, famines, and etc., besides securing legislation. These are the practice variables in the social action model. First is the goal categories in social action. In these practice variables, the approach may lean in the direction of either task goals or process goals. Second is the assumptions regarding community structure and problem condition. The practitioners would likely to view the community as comprised of a hierarchy of privilege and power. Third is the basic change strategy. In this practice variable, the people know who their enemy is and organizing mass action to bring pressure on enemy. In this model, the problem is the planner views the community as a system of privileges and power with disadvantaged population, and the problem is the deprivation, ignored, social justice, or exploitation at the hands of the oppressors, such as power structures, big government, or the society. Fourth is the characteristic change, tactics, and techniques. In these practice variables, the conflict tactics is emphasized, including methods such as confrontation and direct action, and it is the ability to mobilize number of people to carry out rallies, marches, boycotts, and picketing. Fifth is the practitioner rules and medium of change. In these practice variables, the practitioner rule is to advocate and activist. Sixth is the orientation toward power structure. In this practice variable, the power structure, it is usually a force antithetical to the client or group whose well-being the practitioner is committed to uphold. Seventh is the boundary definition of the community client system or constituency. In these practice variables, the client is usually conceived of as some community subpart which suffers at the hands of broader community that need the special support of the practitioner. 8 is the assumptions regarding interest of community subparts. In these practice variables, the interests among community subparts are at variance and not reconcilable. 9 is the conception of the public interest. In this practice variable, it is usually well acquainted with the grueling interplay of conflicting forces in community change activity in the short run. Take a realist individualist view of public interest. Tenth is the conception of the client population or constituency. In these practice variables, the client is the consumer of the services, and also the clients are the victims of the system such as slum, landlords, discrimination, and etc. And lastly is the conception of the client constituent rule. In this, the client group, whether employers or constituents, is in a position to determine goals and policies. There are skills required in social action. The following are: first, the rational skills. You always ask for the reason and make a plan and follow it. Second is the analytical and research skills. You have to analyze the issue or the problem, and you have the ability to evaluate and organize. Third is the intervention skills. You have to remain calm, be patient, and also be a good listener with no judgment. And fourth is the managerial skills. You have the ability to analyze the situation and distinguish between cause and effect and understand the behavior of an individual or a group. And fifth is the communication skills. Communication skills, you have to be confident and respect the people in the community and also yourself, and don't stop asking questions, and also you should be friendly and share feedback to them. And lastly is the training skills. It helps to create opportunities for the employees by developing and enhancing with his or her talent, and also to provide employee with the target training they need to gain the knowledge to fulfill the requirements, and to re-educate and retrain employees. In indirect models of intervention, it doesn't require concurrent direct problem solving with the people. These interventions are employed on behalf of rather than directly with the clients. So in this model, it doesn't require face-to-face in terms of problem solving. So we have interventions that can means a lot in this model. We have working with the elite, the documentation or social criticism, and the advocacy. Working with the elite. Working with the elite includes activities, information giver, interpreter, consultant, organizer, mobilizer, negotiator, lobbyist, and coordinator. Elite means it is an individual or a group who are usually in a position to provide the worker's need in her work with the clients, policymakers, leader, volunteers, and business owners. So, the elite usually sila yung mga popular in the society, and also sila din yung may mga pundong malalaki kaya gusto nilang makatulong sa mga tao sa komunidad. At sila din yung mga nagbibigay ng mga funds sa agency upang may magamit ang mga workers sa pag-meet ng needs ng clients. Ayon sa principle ng social worker, na kinakailangan dapat na malaman at maintindihan ng mga elite ang kabuuang plano ng isang agency ukol sa programa na ipinapatupad para sa mga kliyente. At talaga namang karapat-dapat nilang malaman ito dahil sila ay parte na ng programa. A social work in working with the elite aim at forming and interpreting to certain sectors of the community, our welfare agencies, program and services, as well as the needs and the problems. And the objective of the social worker in working with the elite is enlisting their support or involvement in social welfare activities. In working with elite, the social worker should be guided by certain principles. These are the following. First, the need and resource determination and matching. It's questioning what program, services, or project to require the elite participation, and what type of resource that elite is needs, and it had to be defined and match the needs and resources of the elite. Second is the clarity of purpose or objective. The social worker should see to it that the objective of the program is clearly understood and interpret to the elite, because elite is the part of the program and they should involve it. Third is the involvement in program or project planning and implementation. The elite should involve and participate in project planning, and they should fully understand the whole or total plan of the agency. Fourth is the unitary accountability. The elite and social worker should share accountability for the program. They don't just rely on their leader, instead help each other to fix the problem. Fifth is the social worker should treat the elite with respect and recognize their contribution to agency. As a social worker, the elite need the guide to satisfactorily completed their tasks, and always remember that elite has a contribution on the programs, and they deserve to be respected. And lastly is the professionalism in dealing with the elite. Social workers should not compete with the elite. Instead, demonstrate dedication, competence, and honesty. And social worker and elite should be more professional because they aren't kids enough to teach what is right and what is wrong. So let us move on in the documentation or social criticism. So documentation requires good understanding of existing policies, programs, and services to accurate the knowledge of data about their application and the skills to analyze the data. And workers employed by agency to translate policies into services to clients, and they also share knowledge based on their experience and understand the agency policies or the programs and analyze data to be able to recommend new programs. So the advocacy of this model, which is the intervention, it is based on the premise that the social work profession has a vital interest of its own success in the pursuit of which will ultimately redound to the welfare of clients. And social worker also involve effort to change, modify policies and programs on behalf of the some sector in the community. Thank you so much, and I hope that you learned something from my discussion.